Welcome back to More Than Gardening. I just canned up this strawberry grapefruit juice right here, and I want to show you guys how to do it, the full recipe instructions. It's strawberry season here in Michigan right now, and there are so many strawberries everywhere you go, whether it be farmers markets, farm stands, grocery stores, etc. They're just everywhere, and this is a great way to utilize any extra strawberries that you may have. This recipe is super simple. It only takes a few ingredients, 3 if you don't count the water, because it's just strawberries, grapefruit, sugar, and then water. And it's really easy to make, and I just think this is a great recipe. Whether you're a veteran canner or new to canning and don't really know what you're doing, you can definitely do this recipe. I partnered up with the makers of Ball Home Canning for this video, so thank you to them for sponsoring this and bringing this recipe to you guys. This is a great one for summer, and I think you're really going to love it. So step 1, I'm gonna go ahead and wash all of my strawberries. I'm just dumping them into a strainer and running cold water over them, making sure to wash every single one of them. And then I'm just gonna remove the green stems and cut out kind of like that core of the strawberry. Make sure you keep these if you have a garden. They make really great compost. I'll be keeping all of mine and adding mine to my compost pile. That way I can utilize the entire strawberry. So just remove the green stem and the core of each strawberry and load them back into a bowl. Once you've got your strawberries all washed, it is time to mash them. I am just using a potato masher for this and pushing really hard to extract as much juice as I can. Mashing them is gonna feel really challenging at first, and honestly it kind of is, but it's one of those things where once you kind of get going and get a few of them mashed up and good, it starts becoming really easy. So don't give up after the first like 30 seconds or 60 seconds. It feels really hard because you will get into your groove and then it'll start coming together really nicely. You want your strawberries to look something like this at the end, and this is when you know you are done with mashing and you can move on to your grapefruits. Now to get my grapefruit juice piece of this recipe, I'm just gonna take 6 grapefruits and run them under some cold water to wash them. And then what I'm gonna do, so they're all nice and clean, is I'm just gonna take each one, I'm gonna cut it in half. It's beautiful. And I'm gonna take my little hand juicer and just squeeze it down in here and get all of that delicious grapefruit juice out. Let me move the camera to make sure you can see. You can see as I'm squeezing this, it is all coming out and it smells so good. And again, just like the tops of the strawberries, make sure you hang on to these and add them to your compost. That way you're utilizing the entire grapefruit for what it's worth. So I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna do this with all 6 of my grapefruits. I've got all my grapefruit juice in this bowl, so I'm gonna go ahead and add it to this pot. And I'm also going to add, oh, it's heavy, my mashed strawberries. And I really don't wanna spill on myself. Let's see if it's gonna splat. Okay, nice. Whew, that's a lot, okay. And then I'm gonna add about 1.5 cups of sugar and my quart of water. I'm gonna turn my heat on and just stir and mix this all together. And you'll see I have my canner going here. I've already got my 5 quart jars in here preheating. They're just sitting in the canner. They've got water covering them by about 1 inch. You always need to preheat your jars because you're gonna be filling them with hot juice. And if you were to fill hot juice in a cold jar, you could crack your jars if your jars were cold. So you need to make sure that your jars are nice and hot. That way, when you fill them, you don't have any issues cracking. So I'm just gonna be stirring this, and you don't wanna bring this to a boil. You wanna bring it to 190 degrees for 5 minutes. So I got a little thermometer here, and I just wanna see what we're at as like a baseline. Okay, 71 degrees, we have a long way to go. So I'm just gonna let this heat up, and I'm gonna keep on stirring it until we get up to that 190. So I moved my pot to the back burner, and this one went for 5 minutes at 190 degrees. You don't wanna bring it to a boil, just that 190. And then now I'm just transferring it from that pot to this pot and running it through cheesecloth and a sieve. That way I can get the last bits of like those strawberry pieces and any grapefruit pulp that might have made it through. So I'm just gonna keep on doing that until I have a totally liquid juice. Got all my juice strained in this pot, so now it is finally time to start canning. So I'm gonna slowly start taking out 1 jar at a time from my boiling water. So as I pull this, I'm just gonna let all of that water run out. I'm gonna move it onto my towel here. I need to flatten this out a little bit just for stability. Now, make sure you have either like a towel or a cutting board between your hot jar and your countertop. If you don't, you could risk cracking your jar because your jar is gonna be really hot, and there's hot juice going in your jar, and your countertop is gonna be cold. So just make sure you always have a layer in between. And then I'm using the ball funnel here just to funnel in this juice into my quart jar. I'm just gonna ladle it one by one. And I'm gonna fill this jar all the way to the top until I've got a 1/4 inch of headspace. And that is per the tested recipe. So I'm gonna eyeball it right there because I think that's probably pretty close. I'm gonna use this headspace tool to check. It has these different little like, I don't know, like steps or something, or like indents for each measurement. So right here is 1 inch, 3/4, 1/2 inch, and a 1/4 inch. So I want a 1/4 inch headspace for this recipe. So I'm just gonna put it there. And I'm already, can tell I'm just like a touch off. So I'm gonna add a little bit more, really carefully. See if I can bring it up to that 1/4 inch. Check again. Perfect. That's good there. And it's actually, and I need a little bit more. So I'm gonna check again, and that's perfect. Right at a 1/4 inch, and it's liquid, so it should be 1/4 inch everywhere, but it's always good to check. Now I'm just gonna take a wet piece of paper towel and carefully wipe my rim just to make sure that there's no juice on it so I can have a good seal. And then I'm grabbing my new lid and band and just putting it on, and then just going fingertip tight. You just go as tight as your fingers, no more. It's good. So I'm gonna grab this, and look how beautiful it is. It really is such a nice color. And then this goes back into my canner. I'm gonna pull out the next one, dump the water, and I'm just gonna repeat that whole process until all of my jars are filled and in the canner. I've got all 4 of my jars in, and I've got the water filled up so that it's covering each jar by at least 1 inch. So I'm just gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna bring everything back up to a boil, and then as soon as my boil starts and I'm at a rolling boil, I'm gonna set a timer for 15 minutes. After those 15 minutes are up, and let them sit in here for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna carefully remove each jar and put them on a towel so that they can cool for 12 to 24 hours. So this is the final product. I ended up with 4 quarts, and this will just sit out overnight now, and then in the morning I'll come through and I will check to make sure all of my lids are sealed, and then I'll remove my bands, and then I'll store them. And they are shelf stable now that they've been canned. Again, I will leave this entire recipe and a link to everything I use in the description of this video. If you have any questions on how to can in general, or how to can this strawberry grapefruit juice, definitely leave them in the comment section and I'll do my best to help you out. If you like this video, please leave a like. Make sure to subscribe for more canning content and gardening content. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.